Building positive families. Learn more right after this.
New pet that your family will cherish every day. Consider adopting from a shelter. Shelters are the best places to find a new pet. That's where you'll discover healthy, loyal, and loving animals, eager to become a part of your family. A person is the best thing to happen to a shelter pet. So bring home your new buddy today. To find out more, visit theshelterpetproject.org.
Welcome to Community Watch. I'm your host, Greg Shropshire, and again this week, Dr. Hirsch is on location, but he'll be back with us shortly. Today, we'll be talking about building positive families, and today we'll be having Charles Smith join us, and we'll talk about some of those things that parents need to raise successful children. In this day and age, you know, parents being involved is one of the most crucial parts of that kid's success. So stay with us. We'll be right back with Charles Smith to discuss building positive families.
Traditional light bulbs actually generate 9 times more heat than light. Switch to Energy Star light bulbs, and you'll realize just how much cash you were really burning through. Saving energy saves you money. Learn more at EnergySavers.gov.
Welcome back to Community Watch, and I want to thank and welcome Charles Smith for joining us. Charles?
Thank you. Glad to be here.
You know, you've been here in several roles. With football, in the male program in the past, but now you're here with a different, same role pretty much, same mission, but a different hat. Tell me about this.
Me and my wife Regina, we started a nonprofit organization called Building Positive Families. We believe that in order to make the family whole, you got to work with the entire family, the father, the mother, and the kids. So we have set off doing parenting classes in the community for moms and dads, and we also are doing life skill classes, which we're doing in some of the schools right now, and then also the Boys and Girls Club and at a couple of local churches. So in those classes, we have curriculum that we teach our parents parenting skills, and then we also teach our children life skills, you know, the importance of good behavior, the importance of manners, a lot of things that they're not getting properly at home because either the parents don't know how to give it to them or either they don't have time to give it to them. So we just believe that in order to make the family successful and whole and complete, you got to work with everybody.
Now, because this is such an important topic, so let's just get into it. Too many of our families, or a lot of our families, are non-traditional. It's not the family you see on TV. It's not the Huxtables.
Right.
A lot of our children, especially within the African American community, are living in single-headed female households. But somehow, it's really frustrating to me when we say, okay, this young boy lives in a single-parent, female-headed household, as if there's no dad. Mm-hmm. As if he doesn't still have a family. His family may not live in the same house, but they still have a family. Mm-hmm. And it seems sometimes that the focus, and this is my opinion, that the focus on helping this young man includes everything except the father.
Right.
It doesn't talk about bringing dad back in the picture, because I know as a mentor, that's one of the things we run into is that, you know, I'm mentoring the kid, but this kid has a father.
Right.
How do we bring that back in? It seems like that's a piece that's missing that we sometimes forget. The kid does have a father.
Right. Well, it's no question it's a problem because, I mean, just look at all the various programs you have around. There are very few programs that work with dads and work with fathers. we're living in a time where there are a lot of single dads, out here. There are a lot of moms today that are not taking on responsibility. So the dad is important, but somewhere along the way, the father in the family, his importance got lost, and definitely not understood. Because only thing it takes is a couple of generations of people, a family to go along where the father's not present. It becomes a norm, where you just expect to have mom and grandma there and there's no father presence. But I am here to tell you that our kids, young men and women, are hurting. They are desperately hurting because they don't have a male figure in their lives.
Now, based on your experience, like I said, this is one of those shows that I just want to be candid because I think it's just too serious.
Right.
What has happened, and like I said, this is just my opinion, but what happened to that? We got to the mindset that if mom makes enough money, dad is no longer important. That if the bills are taken care of, if the financial needs are met, somehow fathers are not important, and vice versa. For the single fathers, that if I make enough money, what is that about, and how do we counter that? Because I, like you, believe that kids need both of their parents. Now, granted, some parents may need some help, but they need both of their parents.
Right.
And so I know you've dealt a lot with the kind of the hostility or the unwillingness sometimes to want fathers to be involved.
Well, it's simple values. If you grow up where you had a mom and a dad and you had that type of family, then you tend to value, the mom and the dad being there and the importance of both of them. But if you never grew up in that environment where you never saw your dad, everybody talked bad to you about your dad, or, he never was around to see you at ball games or do any of these things, then to you, the value of a father is not important. I know being a mentor in the schools and going around working with a lot of children, and even when I was raising my children, there would be children all the time that would want to hang out with us just because they could be around a male figure, a dad. And I've taken numerous of children just so they could get that feeling. But it's not going to change until, one, we step up as people. The moms, the dads, the grandmoms, the granddad, everybody has got to say, listen, this kid having his father is important, whether he's with the mom or not with the mom. The presence and the difference a father can make in your life is just astronomical. There are statistics, out there that talk about the difference between kids that have fathers and the kids that don't. Most of the kids that don't have fathers are in the jail, or in a lot of the young teenage girls that don't have a father figure in their life wind up getting pregnant early, dropping out of school. There's all types of negative statistics out there that point to young children that grow up with a lot of father figure.
Now, and I could be wrong, but this is one thing I think that I tend to see, or I have noticed. When I work with young men who has no father in the home, I think sometimes it forces mom to play roles that is hard to play all the time, every one of these roles.
Right.
And especially with boys, because I see a lot of young boys, by the time they 15 to 16, mama really can't tell them nothing.
Exactly.
That when they're young, they rule by their presence. You gonna do this because I told you to, whatever. But as they get older, start lifting weights, start playing sports, mom becomes sometimes afraid of them and really have no control over so many of these young boys.
Right.
And sometimes it's hard to try to explain to some. Well, he needs his dad when he's young, when he's still cute. He needs dad, and later on you're gonna wish dad was involved.
Right.
But it seems like sometimes we single parents are stretched so much that they play in so many roles that it's hard to play all of them effectively. I guess.
Well, what happens is, I think the thing that moms have to learn to accept, they can be great parents. And there are a lot of women that have raised very successful children, and I don't want to, you know.
My mom
take
was
nothing,
one. I grew up
right.
in a single female-headed household.
Yeah, I don't want to take nothing away from anybody, but there's no way that a mom can show a young man how to be a man. In order to get that done, he needs a male figure, and his dad is important. A lot of times, a lot of males grow up, and they grow up hurting because what I've seen a lot of times, if there's a single home, a lot of times, and if there's a girl and a boy and mom there, a lot of times as those children get older, the boy, his needs are less taken care of, and that's because mom don't know how to take care of him, or she, you know, don't feel comfortable taking care of him. And a lot of times, you know, boys, they don't grow up with any compassion. They don't feel love because moms feel like they gotta be hard with them. They gotta be tough with them, and they don't get that, I guess, that nurturing, you know, that they need and want also. So it's a very difficult situation, but we've got to get back to the core values of what it's all about, and every kid deserves his mother and his father. Every kid deserves that.
Well, let me ask you this: as part of building positive families, you have some dads, for whatever reason, let's say he's incarcerated, he's not in the home. Do y'all talk about the extended family, like uncles and uncles, for instance, and aunts, the role that they play as well, not just fathers but males in general? Right. Because I know, growing up in a single female-headed household, even though my father wasn't there, I was not absent of male role models. In fact, my community, we had the community patriarch, who was Benjamin Mosley. I mean, we had men that was in our church that were surrogates. We didn't ask them, but I mean, they were just me. I never felt like there was no men in my life growing up. Right. And even to this day, a lot of the things that I value are after Mr. Mosley, because those values that he set. Do your program touch on that? Because it seems like if we have so many single-family-headed households, that we're going to have to bring the community in at some point to help fill some of that gap.
Well, one thing that we stress, if kids don't have a father, you know, they need a male role model. You know, a lot of times as being a coach, you become a role model for a lot of kids. You know, it takes, you know, church members. It takes various people, you know, out there to step up and be some type of an example and show this young boy, you know, how to be a man. But I don't think there's no replacement for the actual father. Now, I think all those things help, and they can definitely make a difference. And you're definitely better off with having those things than you're not. But my strong emphasis is teaching men the importance that they need to be there for their kids. They need to put their feelings aside. They need to put up with whatever they got to put up with and make the number one priority their children. And you know, if that means you getting hurt, if that means you putting up with a little something that you might not want to put up or you don't feel is fair, you got to be willing to set those feelings aside for the betterment of your child.
So would you say then that the crux of it is really helping men, I know you're working with the family, but really helping men re-engage with their families? Right.
Well, see, you got a lot of men that want to be fathers, but there's different things that won't allow them. You know, like sometimes the mom gets mad and won't let the dad come around if they're, you know, separated or whatever. Sometimes the mom gets another mate. He comes into their life, and then the father of the original kids, that mate don't want the kids around. It's all sorts of things that go on that seems to block the dad a lot of times from being a dad. And then sometimes, you know, the dad just plain up don't step up and do what he's supposed to do. We're not going to, you know, take that away, because a lot of fathers are not doing. But we want to bring awareness to men and talk to them and explain to them why it's important. I've had many of young men tell me that they didn't know how to be a father because they never saw nobody do it. You know, they didn't know what they was doing. You know, that's why they use money. You know, they'll go out and buy some tennis shoes and leave them, or give them money and walk off and leave, and not really realizing that children want your time whole lot more than they want money. So we're trying to open up a thought process and let them see the importance and why their children need them.
So then can you got this part that you're working with fathers. We're gonna take a break in a little bit, but when we come back, I want to talk about what about mothers? Do y'all have classes that are geared toward mothers to work with mothers? Do you have classes that are geared toward just the children themselves? And I guess I just want to know what kind of models do y'all offer through your company, so that if anybody out there, let's say, I have a mom, she'll say, look, I need to learn some skills. I may have a dad, or even a child. Mm-hmm. So we're going to take a break in a little bit, and I want you to stay with us because we're discussing a topic that a lot of us don't really want to talk about, but the problem is evident all around us, and that's building positive families. So stay with us. We'll be right back with more Community Watch right after this.
Looking for these? You drive Buzzed. It could be one very expensive ride.
First, you gotta make bail. Then pay me to get your car back.
Your insurance premiums will go through the roof.
And my legal fees just keep adding up. All told, it could end up costing you $10,000.
Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzz driving, because buzz driving is drunk driving.
Welcome back to Community Watch, and I'm talking today with Mr. Charles Smith of Building Positive Families, which is a nonprofit organization, but basically said providing parents the knowledge and skills to raise successful children. So what brought this about, Charles?
Well, being involved with the MAIL program for so many years.
And tell people just what MAIL is.
MAIL was primarily a fatherhood program that was funded by the governor's office in Atlanta, that I worked with the Rome, Florida Commission on Children and Youth with for 13 years. Actually, it was the longest standing program that in the state. The closest one was like 6 years. We had a lot of success with it, and nobody came up with the resources to keep that going. So when that went away, my phone rang so much, people kept calling. A lot of people are wanting resources and information. A lot of times people, even adults, they need that person to depend on. Because the commission had closed the program off, I was not available anymore for those services. So after talking to my wife, her being in the training field for so long, being a trainer for parents as teachers, and then also working as an involvement coordinator with the school system, we just decided to start an organization ourselves so we could reach out to help people. Our church has supported us. We've had businesses in the community to support us. So that really was why we started doing it, because the phone calls and the people wanting some type of service and information just kept hitting me in the face, so I felt obligated to try to do something to offer the community.
So now, before we went on break, I was talking about the different modules. So what are some of the models or modules that y'all offer so that people will know what kind of service they can find through
Well, the first and second Tuesday of every month we have a parenting class. Okay. And that involves moms and dads. Anybody is welcome to come. You can go on our website, which is www.buildingpositivefamilies.org, and you can see the times. Usually it's 7 o'clock the first and second Tuesdays of each month. We also, and a lot of our participants comes from other organizations in the community like DFACS, foster care, different organizations send people to us, and then people that just hear about it come. We do a couple of fatherhood classes a month, and then we also do the life skill classes. Like I said, the Boys and Girls Club, they've been very supportive of our program. We've been in there going on a year doing classes. New Life Baptist Church, we go in there and do life skill classes. And then also I've started a group at Rome High School of young men doing life skill classes. So it's different classes, it's different information, but anybody is welcome to come. The classes are funded by businesses in the town. Also, Holy Trinity Lutheran Church supplies us with an office and meeting space. So we've been really supported well, and we just want to get these services out to people.
Let me ask you, from your professional, stance and what you've experienced over the years or seen, what is the biggest factor affecting positive, healthy families?
I think the absence of fathers. I really do. I think it's the absence of fathers and education. This society, we're geared with education. I mean, we talk about English and CRCT, and we talk about all these educational things in the school system, the SAT, the ACT, all these different educational things, but we're lacking education on life. And with life education, it's hard to make it. How many really smart people that that can't be functional because they don't have the tools to survive in the society? It's just like a great athlete. I can tell you 50 football players in this town that was way better than me, but they didn't have the discipline or the structure or the organization that it took in order to be successful. So we've got to get, we always talk about education. And education, you got to have it in the society, but we got to get back to training our families so our kids can grow up and be functional adults.
With that education.
With the education.
So if you see the biggest problem facing the family is the absence of fathers, what are some of the things that we as a community can do to help? Because, and let me preface this by saying, as an educator, too many times I hear people talk about it's the home. It starts with the home. Mm-hmm. It starts with the home, and I agree. It does start with the home.
Right.
But that, to me, releases us of a community responsibility. Because if you are a dysfunctional family,
right,
how can I expect you to produce functional kids?
Right.
So therefore, if mom and dad are dysfunctional, saying they're the problem don't solve the problem.
Right.
So that's why I feel like the community has a role, be it the church, be it organizations, be it I don't care. We have a responsibility, I feel. How do we help the family become more functional? Right. So therefore they can help their own children.
Right.
Well, how do we do that?
Well, we got to get them these services, and we got to get people to buy. And that's why we've been going around the churches saying, look, take this program, bring it into your church, bring kids in. Let's train kids how to behave. We got kids getting suspended from school just because they don't know how to behave. Yeah. Just because it's simple child rearing principles that they're not getting at home. We talk about our test scores being down. We talk about, the dropout rates and all this. All that's affected by our children and families' behavior. And until, you expect a kid to come to school nowadays, you can't expect a kid to show up and think that he just going to be ready to go in there and sit down in class and be quiet. It just ain't going to happen. Because children go through a lot, man. We got kids not eating. We got kids don't know if they're going to live in the same place when they get out of school. We got kids that are angry because their essential needs are not getting met. And all that affects everything that they're doing. We got kids getting locked up because of that. Everybody, like you said, has got to buy into this and realize the importance of it and start teaching.
So how can the community help you with this mission you're
on? You can help by inviting us in to do a presentation. We're always needing donors. We're needing people. We're needing resources. We're needing facilitators because it's almost about to get to the point to where we're finna have to expand, and we're going to need people to teach these classes. There's various ways you can help. So anybody that's interested, we welcome you. Your phone call, emails, or whatever it is you want to do, just call us and let us know.
This is Anybody that know me know that I'm very big about my mom.
Right.
About the core values that she instilled in us.
Definitely.
And that how we owe a debt.
Right.
And I'm big on that. We all owe a debt. None of us
Right.
are so great where we are because we're just so great.
Exactly.
And so when you start talking about the family for me, and being a divorcee myself and having children, that is one of the things I do take pride in, is that, you know, we got to learn to work together as parents.
Definitely.
You know, put aside our problems and really co-parent.
Right.
And I think the community, the churches, we all can help make that more easy. You know,
Yes.
make that, help facilitate that. Because when you got two grown people that really can't stand each other, it is hard for them to work together. It is.
Right.
But I think we can help do that. And there's things that the community can do to help you on this mission, because I believe if we really want to talk about education, you can't talk about test scores without talking about family functioning properly.
Definitely.
You know, what does a test score matter to a kid
Right.
who doesn't know where he's going to stay that night?
Exactly.
What does it matter if him and mom are fussing and fighting all the time? Or what does it matter he can't even see his dad?
Exactly.
You know, I think we sometimes forget what is the purpose of education. You know, but if my life is in turmoil,
Right.
education becomes not as important for a lot of children.
Exactly.
So I think we definitely got to help push this message that, you know, building positive families. Now let me ask you this. When we talk about families, and I know we're getting short on time, family, the word family as we know it today has expanded. You used to have the nuclear family, the extended family. Now you have families that are just as loving and supporting of each other. Some of them ain't related at all.
Right.
So how have you been able to deal with that? Because I'm quite sure a lot of the families you deal with are not just nuclear families.
What we try to let them understand is, listen, don't bring the child into the stuff that's happened, because the child don't ask for a stepdad. They don't ask that their dad be gone. They don't ask about your problems you're having. Keep all that stuff separate from the child, and make everything be about him. And then keep the stuff you're going through and dealing with, keep it away from him, because that child deserves that, you know. And a lot of times our kids are thrown into the middle of bad relationships. They hear all sorts of things that they shouldn't hear, and it confuses them.
You know, one of the things, and I hate to cut you off, but one of the things that when you said that, I don't know how many kids I've mentored, and I'm just got to be honest. Too many mothers talk to their children, especially their oldest son, as if they're grown.
Right.
He don't need to know the struggles you having. Some of them struggles you need to protect him from.
Right.
Because you may be complaining. I've seen this time and over again. You complaining about a problem. Now in her mind, she knows she know how she gonna solve it. But the kid don't have all of that information. So the anxiety that it can create in children when they are worried about problems that you are frustrated about, but you know it's going to be handled.
Exactly.
But they don't have all that information, so you create this unnecessary anxiety, and these children are just off the walls.
Right.
We're going to take a quick break, and we come back. I'm going to give you some contact information about building positive families. So stay tuned. We'll be right back right after this.
Seven 7,000 high school students drop out every school day. That's a line of desks more than 4 miles long. We can keep students in school. Visit boostup.org and take the first step.
Building positive families, providing parents the knowledge and skills to raise successful children. To learn more, call 706-346-7205 or visit buildingpositivefamilies.org. Please take time to call and visit the website and learn more, because we all have a role to play in this. Thank you for being with us, Charles. And anytime you want to come back, please come back and share with us some more.
Yes, sir.
Thank you for seeing us. We'll see you next week on Community Watch.